Good morning, everybody. How we doing today? All right, so here we are again. All right, got a little something I want to run by everybody right quick. So this morning, as I was doing my studying, um, Mr. Maxwell wanted to talk about attitude management, and that made me think about our program we got in the Army called the MRT program, and what the MRT program is for the people who don't know. Um, it's a resiliency program. It helps individuals gain resiliency, and it teaches you about resiliency. Like the MRT program is a great program. Like it is amazing. Um, you can learn so much from it, and you can gain so much from it if you give it a chance. All right. Now, when he was talking about the attitude management, what came to mind was this: there's a skill in the MRT program called ATC. And the premise of ATC is that your thoughts drive your consequences, and your consequences are basically, your emotions and reactions. Bottom line, that's upfront. So, what you think is going to control what you do. What you do is going to have a consequence. All right. Now, they break it down. What's going on there? How you doing, my friend? They break it down to the point where the consequence is not about, like, when we say what you do, it's not just about like what do you physically take action on. Like if let's say the action was, someone slapped you, we're not talking about you slapping them back. Like that's a part of the consequence. But what we're talking about to the level of where your what is it called, a physiological change in your body. Like, when some people get nervous, they have these little things that they don't know about, these little ticks. All right. We'll call them that, ticks. So, some people, when they get nervous, they start sweating. They start rubbing their hands, or maybe they start tapping their foot on the ground, or, they'll move their shoulder a little bit, or their eyes start twitching, and they don't know that they're doing these things. And that's why we're calling them ticks. All right. So let's get back to it. Now, we're talking about attitude management here. Now, the reason that I explain that whole piece of the consequence is because we're going to talk about these thoughts. Now, it's very important for a leader, or anybody for that matter, to be able to manage their thoughts. You got to be able to manage your thoughts before you can manage your attitude, but you manage your attitude through your thoughts. Now, I want to talk about another skill that we have. And everybody's like, oh no, I know it's coming. Hunt the good stuff. All right. Yes, you're right. But hunt the good stuff is done so much because it's a great skill. Now, a lot of people take it out of context. All right. And they use it as a get out of jail free card. But hunt the good stuff is going to go to our point as to why you have to manage your attitude through your thoughts. Now, if you were to wake up in the morning and you deliberately said, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to smile. That's it. That's all you said. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to smile. All right. Now, you get out the bed, you do your daily routine, you're smiling, you regardless of what's happening, at first it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. All right. Now, there's another guy, can't remember his name, but he has a book called Atomic Habits. I want to say his last name is Thomas. I'll get that name for y'all. But either way, what he says is we often look at changing habits as to how long it takes. We shouldn't look at how long it takes as in a duration of time. We should look at how many repetitions does it take. Because think about it. To get better at something, you have to do it multiple times, right? And once you do it enough, it becomes habit. All right. So we should look at how many repetitions does it take. Now let's go back to I'm waking up, I'm smiling, all right, got my shoulders up, head held high, and I'm going out into the world and I'm going to conquer the world. Seize the day, carpe diem, right? Now, think about it like this. If I got up in the morning enough times and I said, hey, I'm going to smile, everything's going to be great. Eventually, my thought process is going to change. Now, here's another thing too. Eventually, what's in your heart is going to come out your mouth. So if you fill your heart with a whole bunch of crazy stuff, then guess what's going to come out your mouth? a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and people don't realize it, but our ears aren't filtered. We hear all of these things. It's kind of like a brainwashing going on constantly if you allow it. If you allow it. But if you say, hey, look, I'm taking control of my education and I'm going to only allow in what I want in, i.e., when I'm driving to work, I'll listen to some audiobooks. Or, when I'm doing X, I'm going to do this. Like, you make deliberate decisions to manage those thoughts, because all of this is thought management, because what you think is going to control what your consequences are. All right. So let's get back to the original skill that we talked about, ATC. Now, it's 3 parts. The first part of ATC is what they like to refer to as the activating event. Now, the way I always like to talk about it is like when we drive and people get cut off, and everybody hates to get cut off. Everybody hates to get cut off. You got all kinds of opinion about the person that cut you off. You like this mother, boop, 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 and you fill in the blanks. But everybody hates to get cut off, right? So that's the activating event. The activating event is anything that makes you have a thought. Anything. All right. If it makes you have a thought, that's an activating event. Now, with that activating event, the important thing is this: that it's not about, what it was, what happened. All right. It's not about what happened. Like, the activating event is just the facts. All right. And this goes back to John C. Maxwell's point in one of his books, Failing Forward. It's not about what happens to you. It's about what happens in you. All right. Now, let's compare that to what we're talking about right now. We're talking about how your thoughts drive your consequences, right? So once again, it's not about what happens to you. That's the activating event. That's what happened to you. It's about what happens in you. Now, what he's referring to, and I'm linking these two together, is ATC. Now, if a car cuts you off, you've got a choice. All right. The choice is I can get upset and I can start going crazy, or I can just say, all right, no big deal, whatever. 2 different courses of action there. But I have that choice. I have the choice to decide what I think about it, and then after I think it, how I feel about it. Okay? Now, the activating event, like we said, that's just the thoughts. Now, the next part is called ATC. So A is the activating event. T is the heat of the moment thought. Heat of the moment thought. T's drive C's. All right? Your thoughts drive your consequences. So that heat of the moment thought, now that's the crazy stuff that you think when that person cut you off. The beep, 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 fill in the blanks. That's all that crazy stuff. Now, look, here's the part that no one really, deep dives into. You can lie to everybody else. You can be fake with everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself. And a lot of times people have lied to themselves so much that they can't even admit that they're lying to themselves. All right. But here's the thing. What you got to do is this. You got to be real with you. You got to say, hey, this is how I think. And you got to be real and raw. All right. You got to be real and raw. Like, look, this is how I think. This is what I say. Either I'm cool with that or I'm not. If you cool with it, so be it. Keep living my life. Charlie might continue mission. Do what you do. But if you are not, this is a way to do a self-evaluation and say, hey, look, I don't like the way that things are turning out. I need to do something to fix this. All right. That's those thoughts. Because right now we're talking about managing your attitude through your thoughts. Okay. Now that we got that, now we know we got cut off. We had the heat of the moment thought, which was, beep to beep, fill in the blanks. Now we're going to move to the consequence, because look, no emotion comes without thought. It doesn't. No emotion comes. There's a thought there. You may not realize that you're having that thought, but no emotion comes without thought. Now, once you have that thought, what's the emotion? What's the consequence, the reactions and the emotion, right? So when you look at, when you have that thought and now you're having all of these emotions and everything, and there's going to be you're going to do something, there's going to be a reaction, whether it's a physiological change in your body or as you physically going out and, doing something. There's going to be a reaction. Now, the reaction could be good. The reaction could be bad. Now, I'm gonna go back to the activating event. They're not good or bad. They're not good or bad. What you think about them is what makes them good or bad. All right, that thought. Once again, we back to the thought again. What you think about it is what's going to make it good or bad. Now, are we seeing how all of this stuff is tying together? Now, look, here we go. Now, we're back to the consequence, the emotion and the reaction. That physiological change, all right, that's anything that happens within your body, whether it be elevated temperature, heart rate change. You get a whole bunch of saliva in your mouth. You start crying, sweating, palm sweating, twitching of the hand. And these are just examples. Like the list could go on and on and on. Or is physically you're going out and you're doing something. Okay. Now, this is why that thought is so important, because now we had an activating event. Okay. And the majority of the time when we have an activating event, it's a trigger to a thought process. But if I came and I told you, hey, look, what if I told you there was a way to look and tell when you were going to have this consequence? This is how you do it. This is the blueprint. Look, this thing sets you off, right? You know this thing sets you off. And we just talked about how important these thoughts are. So why can't I just go and say, hey, you know what? When this thing right here happens, these are usually the thoughts that I have, and I don't like the consequences that come from these thoughts. So why can't I just go out there and say, hey, look, you know what? From now on, I'm going to use my brain, and I'm going to change how I think about these things. I'll give you an example for myself. I had this beautiful Challenger RT when I was younger. Beautiful, all black, chrome wheels, and a chrome cap. That was it. Everything else was all black. And I loved this car. I would park it far away from everybody else. And then there would always be some genius that comes in the middle of the parking lot where there's no more cars, and they would park directly next to me. All these open car spots. You know what they would do? They would open their door, boom, ding my car. And by the time I get there, of course, they're gone. So for years, I was just like, oh, I hate this. People dinging my door, dinging my door, dinging my door. And I probably should have been using these skills that I have right now. But when I got older, I got a truck. It's F-250 now. And one day, me and the wife, we were at Sam's, and I go to get out the truck. I'm always careful because I don't want to mess nobody else's stuff up. I open the door stops. I go to get out, the wind blows, and the door creeps into the person's car. And it didn't ding the car, but it touched the car. So to me, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to touch anybody's car or anything like that. In that very moment, I realized, I'm like, hey, this whole time you've been over here getting upset. How many times has it been a mistake where someone has actually done this? How many times? How many times? And from that point forward, every time, what's going on, my sister? Yeah, it was black. You out of control. We're gonna talk later though. So how I'm sitting here getting upset, and I'm like, man, they dinging my door. But how many times has this been a mistake? And now I'm sitting here upset about it. I'm sitting here upset about it because somebody didn't ding my door. So from that point forward, every time I came back to my car or truck or whatever, and I find a ding in the door, I just think back to that moment and say, hey, you know what? It was probably a mistake. And guess what? I got a different reaction. I had a different consequence from that thought process versus the thought process of, man, somebody's dinging my dang on door, and now I got these emotions and reactions that I don't want. You can control that stuff. You can control all of that stuff. So I got a little long today. We had 14 minutes now, but what I'm saying is this. It is very important for a leader or anybody at that point to look at a situation holistically. All right. Be able to take your thoughts and change how you feel about a situation. And look, once you go down that thought process and you feel how you feel about it, and you're at that point where you're like, hey, I'm feeling how I feel about this right now. Try to take those thoughts and change it and think in a different way to change how you feel about the situation. All right. Okay. There we go. All right, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get up off of here. I need to get my butt out on the road, and we're going to get hot. I'm almost done with in processing. About to be a full paratrooper again. All right. Got to get bar knocked out, and I'm back in there. All right, everybody. So, hey, once again, look, I love y'all. And as my people's Sergeant Major Griff always say, if ain't nobody told you, you're important and you matter. We love you all. If anybody needs anything, reach out to me in the inbox and I'll do whatever I can to help you out. But as I always say in all my videos, life is a choice and I am dependent on you to choose well. We're going to talk to you soon.